guys, I'm Erynn Kay. I am a physician assistant that works in Denver, Colorado in family medicine. And I am your go-to gut health expert. And this morning I would like to talk to you about gut health. In my clinic I see a lot of patients with gut imbalances and symptoms. And we generally will start with dietary modifications and interventions before anything else, oftentimes a low-carb diet. So today specifically, I want to talk about why the health of your gut is so important for your overall health. And I want to talk about the things that trigger an unhealthy gut to begin with. And then we'll discuss why a low-carb diet is so beneficial for your gut health. So why is gut health so important? Well, if you didn't already know, most of your immune system is actually in the gut. There are patches of lymphatic tissue that live in your intestine that are there to kill off foreign invaders. So if you think about it, maybe you ate some meat that was a little bit old or didn't quite wash your vegetables. And when that happens, some bacteria can get into your system that you may not want there. If you have adequate stomach acid to digest your food, then these bacteria might be killed off at that point, but a lot of people don't. So these pathogens can get inside of you, but you have this backup system of all of this immune and lymph tissue, specifically called Peyer's patches, that line the small intestine to help protect you. On the flip side, however, if you develop something called leaky gut, your immune system might become overactive and kind of go awry. Leaky gut can develop for several reasons: chronic stress, food intolerances or allergies, overuse of medications like Advil, which is an NSAID, overuse of alcohol, and those gut bugs, those bad bugs that get into you. All of those things can cause leaky gut. And what happens is that the cells that are normally very tightly bound together in the epithelium of the GI tract start to kind of pull apart when they're irritated by one of these things. And when that happens, food particles can leak out into the bloodstream. Now, your immune system does not like this. It sees these food particles as foreign, so it will attack these. And this might be one of the ways that food intolerance develops in the first place. Not only that, however, there's something called molecular mimicry, which basically states that sometimes these food particles that get out into the bloodstream might look a lot like your own body's tissue, and the immune system might actually confuse the two. So it will attack the food particle that is foreign, and it will also attack your own body tissue that looks like that food particle. And this is one of the ways that autoimmune disease, or kind of self-destruction from the body, might occur. So you can see that not only is it important to keep your gut healthy so that the immune system is working for you to keep out those bad bugs, but it's also important so that you don't end up developing autoimmune disease, or at least are less likely to develop autoimmune disease. Okay, so not only is your gut important for the health of your immune system, but it's a key player in keeping you happy. You see, most of the serotonin, which is one of the major happy hormones in the body, is produced in the gut. So if your gut lining is sick or inflamed or dysfunctional, those hormones won't be produced in the amounts that you want them to be. Basically, a sad gut equals a sad you, right? So the brain and the gut are connected in other ways as well. The vagus nerve is a nerve that sends connections back and forth between the brain and the gut. And it's a two-way street. So if your gut flora or good bacteria are kind of low or out of balance, this can actually send signals to the brain. And this can make you feel more anxious, more depressed, or even contribute to other mood disorders. If you've ever had butterflies in your stomach, then you kind of already know that the brain and the gut are inherently linked. Maybe you're feeling anxious about something and then all of a sudden your stomach is upset. So yeah, you kind of know that there's a link there. It's pretty interesting. Okay, I want to get a little vain for a second. How many of you care a lot about your skin and you spend a crazy amount of money on skincare products? Well, did you know that if you protect your gut by taking good care of it, your skin will also look much more radiant and glowing and beautiful? If you have a happy, balanced gut flora, and also if your digestion is adequate so that you're breaking down your food into all of these great nutrients, then you're going to fuel the health of your skin, which is the largest organ in your body. And if you're not digesting your foods very well, and if your gut flora are out of balance, you might be prone to disorders like acne, psoriasis, rosacea, and even eczema. All of these have roots in dysbiosis. So a healthy gut equals a healthy complexion. And lastly, if all of these reasons aren't enough to try to keep your gut healthy, gut symptoms are annoying, right? Who wants to be walking around with gas and bloating, or running to the bathroom every hour, or perhaps worse, let's be honest, not being able to go to the bathroom for days on end? Did you know that irritable bowel syndrome occurs in up to 25% of people in this country? And it's actually the second leading cause of missed work days behind the common cold in the US. It's very, very common. And it's because GI symptoms are uncomfortable, they're embarrassing, and they're just downright annoying. So let's take care of our guts, because ain't nobody got time for all of those gut symptoms, right? Okay, moving on. What are the ways that we in society are ruining our guts to begin with? Well, first and foremost, and you all know this, we're eating crappy food. We're eating fast food and food cooked in refined and oxidized seed oils, eating too many processed carbs, breads, pastas, sugar. We drink too much alcohol, too many sodas, probably too much coffee. And when we eat this way, it fuels bad bacteria and yeast overgrowth in the gut, so that the bad guys start to kind of outnumber the good bacteria that make us feel good. Also, and this is a pet peeve of mine with my patients, we keep eating foods that we are allergic or intolerant to. Gluten and dairy especially are big allergens, and people notice that they don't feel good often when they eat these foods, but they continue to eat them, often because they're a bit addicted to them. And this will only end up causing leaky gut and then a big reaction from your immune system, like we talked about. All right, even good foods or healthy foods like whole grains, beans, and certain vegetables like potatoes, peppers, and tomatoes actually have plant toxins present in their tissue. And the reason that these plants make these toxins is because they want to protect themselves. They don't want to be eaten. So they create these, and unfortunately in a lot of people, these plant toxins can actually irritate the lining of the gut. These also have the potential to bind up some of the nutrients in your food so that you're not even receiving those nutrients. And I want to be clear that some people are a lot more sensitive to these plant toxins than others. Some people do just fine with them. But a little bit of self-experimentation is key to kind of know if these foods are very digestible for you. And I find with my patients that most people that have GI symptoms do a heck of a lot better avoiding these foods. All right, as mentioned earlier, chronic stress wreaks havoc on the gut. We already kind of know that stress is inflammatory to the body, but not only that, if we're all stressed out when we're trying to eat, we're kind of shoveling food in to get onto the next work meeting or deadline, we're going to leave large undigested food particles. And these basically get into the small intestine, and they act as food for bacteria and possibly even yeast that should not be there. So again, you're not digesting your food, it gets down into the small intestine and provides food for pathogens. And this can create diseases like SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or even SIFO, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. Finally, other types of gut infections like parasites can also wreak havoc on the gut. And a lot of these infections, like we've been talking about, the bacteria, the yeast, parasites, they start because we don't take care of ourselves by eating a junk diet. Okay, so I want to talk about why low carb is so good for your gut. It makes sense that low carb would be good for gut health because low carb automatically removes so many of the gut irritating foods. In general, grains, gluten, sugar, and beans are eliminated on low-carb diets. So this is a great starting point to kind of clean up the gut. Low carb for most people is also a very anti-inflammatory type of plan. It removes inflammatory sugar, and like I mentioned, gluten a lot of the time is removed. So people note that their symptoms of inflammation, like their arthritis, it starts to improve. And so it would make sense that inflammation in the gut is improving as well. Also, without all of this inflammation in your body, you don't need to take all of that Advil, which is harming your gut to begin with. So that's pretty cool, right? And just as an aside, a lot of people on low carb find that their acid reflux goes away when they start low carb diets. So drugs like Prilosec and Nexium, you don't need them anymore. And those drugs are bad for your gut. They can cause bacterial overgrowth over time, and they block your nutrients. So again, less drugs on a low carb diet. That's always a win. All right, finally, bad bugs like yeast love sugar and they love refined carbohydrates. So on a low carb plan, you are starving these bad bugs out, but you're still eating plenty of low carb vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and these have good fiber that will feed your good bacteria and encourage them to grow. And when your good bacteria grow and break down the fiber, they produce butyrate, which is a short chain fatty acid that helps nourish the cells of the colon. So that's good for your gut health as well. Not only that though, you can get butyrate from eating all this good fiber, and you can also get it from eating the awesome low carb staple, butter. Yes. Okay, so you can see how important it is to protect the health of your gut for your overall health to be optimal. And it's a good thing that simply following a low carb diet is the first step in achieving this. Thank you so much for listening. I am Erynn Kay, and you can find me at denversdietdoctor.com. And for more great content, don't forget to subscribe to the Adapt Live channel. Thanks, guys.